Alrighty, I think I'm ready to get going. Alright, so I'm going to make some changes to our character model to differentiate him a little bit more from Link, I think. Probably be a good idea. And also so he's not using the same textures as Link. I'm pretty sure in my my Blender projects folder I have a color grid texture that I made. Let's see. Let's sort in my type. Okay. No. Let's see. Wow. I have some really old stuff on here. Textures. Nope. Huh. That's nothing. Just the scribble texture. Let's Is this it? Nope. Okay, let's see. Open, don't save. Okay, I think this has the, yeah, this is the texture I want. Color grid. Okay, so it's in a Unity project. That's a meta file. That's not PNG. All right, this. It's super blurry because it's an extremely small image, but you know, it's got gradients of color that you can UV things across. don't remember what I called that. Oh, generic adventure models. So this was a couple years ago. I started putting together like a sort of asset pack thing for myself of assets that I could use in my own projects. So I have like, you know, a couple of different swords, a shield, things like a key, a heart, a gem, a coin, just generic game bits. A pot and a broken version of the pot. And I'm not like crazy about any of these in particular, so I might remake some of them, but if I go into, where's the color grid on this one? Okay, so it is still in that Unity project. I am gonna make a copy of that texture and put it somewhere easier to find. It will be in my Blender projects folder, and I think there's a texture folder in here. Yes, textures. No, that's... I'm just gonna copy it into my Godot project and reference it from there. Copy. Godot. Textures. Open in File Manager. Paste. There we go. Color grid.png. So now if I go back into my I'm gonna hide the rig and then open color grid. There we go. I can select it by seam or by UVs. There we go. So I'm gonna make a new material. Call that one links and plug in that image texture. Nope, we want color grid. There you go. Cool. So it looks nonsensical right now because the stuff is not in the right sections. I'm gonna grab these and move them over here so they're like darker Or maybe lighter, actually. Not entirely sure. And then this is gonna be like off-white, I think. And then I kind of want the sleeves to be a light brown. Kind of like the alternate skin of Toon Link in Smash. And then I don't really have a good guess that will have to do. And then switch that over. But then there's some fun stuff you can do. Let's see. So I think all the leg stuff is here. So like, you can stretch them. You can kind of get some interesting. I might actually want to put UV seams because I didn't actually do that. They're kind of just alright, so I'm gonna put a seam here. This will be the seam. Seam up to the armpit. This is gonna be a seam as well. And we'll have one down the bottom of the arm. And this one will also be a seam. And then this will also be a seam. And then we'll have this going up here. And then this edge loop going around there. Cool. Let's see. Gonna hide. Hide that. And then that'll be a seam. this a seam as well. That'll be a seam. Actually, let's clear that. No, that's right. Seam. I'll have it go down here. It's not the cleanest, but there we go. So now if I just unwrap it like that. So this is the bottom part of the tunic. Yo, it's going good. I'm doing some UV stuff. Yeah. So I actually went through and added seams to some of this. It looks like I might be missing. Let's see. Okay. That makes sense. Is that? This should be a seam. Let's uncheck that. Yeah, we should be able to. Oh, it's because of the belt. I see, I see. I didn't make seams at the top of the belt. So now, if I, there we go. Okay, it looks like I'm still missing an edge or a single vertex. That would be somewhere. Oh, okay, I see, I see. I have some really stretched geometry here. There we go. There we go. That's the leg. Which part's the top and which part's the bottom? Okay, that's the bottom. I think that's the top. Yeah. Okay. So now that I have that set up, I can if I shrink this down, then I put the UVs going across this transition. If I stretch them out really far, It's kind of hard to see here. But you kind of get a gradient from dark to light. Let's see. If I set this to material texture, you can kind of see it there. There's a little bit of a gradient. It's easier to tell with colors. You know, like if I were to do it like this, it kind of fakes some shadow. I think that's kind of cool. So I'm gonna add some. I'm gonna make these edges here also seams, so I can separate this part off and make it darker. So like that will go here, and this will go here. Then I can also like, let's see, I grab this edge and straighten that out. So if I straighten both those out, straighten this one out, all right, So if I get all that and I select this one, I can hit follow active quad, and that will give me like a rectangular thing, and then this will stretch out nicer. So I can do something sort of like that. Get a little bit of a gradient. It's kind of subtle, but it's kind of cool. So I can also, if I grab this, I can rotate it this way, and I can like kind of stretch the top part out over that light part, so it kind of has a gradient going light to dark. And then I grab this bottom part didn't actually separate. Interesting. It's hard to see when I have edges selected when they're marked sharp but also seam. Marks. There we go. So now don't want to snap it on. There we go. Cool. Oh yeah, I need to get that hand. Let's do. So that's okay, interesting. Gonna have ads in a couple minutes. Okay. I'm not gonna worry about the UVs on the hands or the face because I'm gonna redo those later. But I just wanted to just wanted to get those fixed a little bit. And I'm gonna turn this into a rectangle as well. Select everything and then grab just this and then follow active quad. There we go. I feel like I have it stretched out a little bit too much. That's better. What if you just get like the very tip over that? I just want to make sure that that is correct. Yeah, there we go. That looks better. let's unhide the rig. Include selected only. Yo, how's it going? Hi. Taking your break. 45-minute break. It's good. I just went through and I re-UV'd and textured this guy using a color grid texture that I've made. So I'm not using the one from Wind Waker. I forgot to make sure apply modifiers is on. Selected only, data mesh, apply modifiers. There we go. And then I'm gonna make a new material. So yeah, shader material. We'll be using call it links. And set it to use our toon shader. And set the color to our color grid. And set the color to white. Go. Go. Alright, I do need to tweak the shader, but then a Toyota anime ad. Wild. Initial T. Good. Alright, animation still works, kind of. Alright, I'll save that. And oh, grid 2, grip 2. It's probably grid. That would make more sense, but it's still weird. All right, So I think I haven't fully figured out exactly. You didn't really miss much. I made this little stand-in for Link that's called Lynx. He is going to be a little cat boy with little ear tufts, but right now he's just a sort of a mannequin. So I can test out shaders and gameplay. So I started making my own toon shader, but it got a little messed up because I don't know a whole lot about how shaders work in Godot, and I think what's happening is the lighting is being applied twice. Because I set it to be a diffuse toon shader, and I think the diffuse toon shader might already be calculating some of this stuff on its own. Yeah, he's fun. So I looked at how the actual Link model from Wind Waker was done. So you can see here's yeah, I think the lighting is getting doubled somehow. So let's switch this to, there we go. So this is the texture that Link is using. So they're kind of doing a similar thing where they're stretching polygons in the UV map over multiple colors to get a pseudo gradient. Kind of see it here too, maybe. Yeah, so his whole sleeve is this chunk here. And so like the top part of it is in this little darker green, and then the rest is like stretched, and then it has another darker green at the bottom. Let's see. The boot is just like vertical, and then they drew in the shading. On mine, I did a similar thing, but rather than drawing in the shading, I cut a section out of the texture, or out of the UVs, and I stretched it over these. So you can kind of see, like, have some shading there, some fake shading. And I made a simple rig for him. Yeah, shading cheats. I do need to weight paint him so the bottom of the tunic doesn't move with the upper body as much. That should actually be pretty easy to fix. Let's see. Weight paint mode. And then, let's see. I want to be in. There we go. Okay, so I think if I have both of them selected and I go into weight paint mode, there should, yeah. So if I control click on a bone, that will give me what's painted to it. And then I do want to make sure auto normalize is turned on. And then I can do a little of this. So I probably want all of these to be fully weighted to Show wire. There we go. That's better. Why is that not? Okay, so it probably does need to be like partially weighted to the upper. But this way, when the leg moves, it does move the tunic with it. So that's better. I feel like that was really like the main issue with the way that it was weighted. And I'll worry about like really getting into the weeds with the weight painting later. Whoa, where does head go? Didn't have the head selected. So what if I... It still seems wrong, and I can't tell why. I think part of it might be because the light is fully white. So that's like not exactly what I want. Can I don't know if I can go in animations and edit them. Don't think so. Oh well. So a lot of foot movement in that animation. animation for some reason. Okay, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna make a scene for the character. So we'll make a new scene, 3D scene. It's going to be, actually, don't save, new scene. It's gonna be a character body 3D. We'll call this links. And we'll add a collision shape 3D. That will be a capsule. We'll move it up 1 unit. I'm going to turn off the lighting for now. Then I'll drop links in here. Drop his, let's see. I do need to make editable children so I can add the animation player. To the top. Animations, animation. We'll just grab both of those. All right. Right. Cool. So our capsule is bigger than it needs to be. I kind of wish there was a way to drag this down without it affecting the ground position, if that makes sense. So now, if I delete those from the scene, I can drag links. Nope. My links scene that I made here. There we go. go in here and we will add a script. And we'll do the basic character movement. What will we call it? Player character controller. Alright. If I go in here now, let's grab that ground test, and I think we can just apply collisions to this. Yes. It's a static. There you go. So now, I don't have a camera in the scene, do I? No, no camera. All right. Camera 3D. Ooh. Shit. All right. Okay. So ground does have collision. I can move. Kind of. I can jump. I'm gonna go ahead and set up actual controls in the input map. All right. And then I'm gonna go ahead and set these up. Wait, no, this is A. No, that's D. And this one's A. This one is W. S. Space. This will be E. And so will be left mouse click for now. Mouse button left. And then I'm gonna set them up for controller as well. Gamepad. Axes. Left stick, left. Stick right. Left stick up and left stick down. And then jump will be buttons. That'll be the right action. So the left action. It's gonna be bottom action. About to have ads. So I think that light attenuation was doing something funky. I guess I could just change this clamp amount. And I should also like make these parameters that I can tweak. Should be 0.03, should be 0.5, and then so now I should be able to, in the material itself, change these numbers around. So 0 and 1 just gives us like basic diffuse. So I know one thing that Wind Waker does is the shadows don't go all the way to black, I don't think. A lot of Toon shaders don't go all the way to black. I think part of that is the this clamp here. Like if we put this at like 0.05, the darkest it goes is like a gray. So that just kind of tints it instead of going all the way to black, which might be what we want. So I think the next thing we probably want to do is figure out what character states we want, because ideally this character controller should be using a finite state machine or a hierarchical state machine to control the movement rather than just all being in one script, because there are like discrete states that the character could be in that behave differently. So right now this is just like, it's a very simple character controller, so the things we need to do next are factor in the camera direction. And we need to build a camera rig, I think. And then we also need to build our state machine. So I'm gonna look at one of my VODs of Wind Waker, just so we can kind of see. Maybe. Maybe not. Mute that. We'll full screen this. So we're not going to worry about the sailing stuff for now. So he has a swim state. He's got, all right, have a good one. Good luck with the parent-teacher conferences. All right, let's skip ahead to another part. Thanks for the save reminder. Anyway, I'm gonna make a guess I can just open like a notepad or something. Actually, we'll use Google Drawings. Alright, so we will have a state. I will. Yeah, it looks like everything is all saved and good in both Blender and in Godot. Alright, so we'll have an idle stand state. That'll kind of be our default. And then we'll also have this one will be walk. We'll have run. Jump and fall. And land. You'll also have a roll. And a bonk, a roll bonk. So these ones here are like the in-air states. These are the on-the-ground states. We're not going to worry about combat stuff for now because that's a separate thing. So let's make some transitions. So idle stand can go to walk. And then walk can go to run. Run can go back to walk. Hold on. I think I want the and walk can go back to idle. And you can really only roll when you're either walking or running. and you can only bonk if you're rolling. Roll will take you back to idle. Bonk will also take you back to idle. Land takes you back to idle, obviously. You can only land if you're falling. I think you can only jump because Wind Waker has an auto jump. So you can only jump if you're walking or running. You can't jump from a stand. And pretty much any of these can go to fall. So we have this big tangled mess of states. So if you're standing still, there's no input. If you push forward on the control stick, or really any direction on the control stick, you start walking, and then if the stick value is far enough, then it starts running. If you press the roll button while you're walking or running, you roll. At the end of your roll, you go back into the idle, which will automatically handle if you're still pushing forward. It will transition back into walk or run. If you hit something while you're rolling, you bonk. I guess you could fall from bonking as well. Maybe. I think you can also jump from a roll. If you roll and then go off a ledge, he auto jumps. And this isn't even accounting for like behaviors when you're near a ledge. So you can tell that character controllers can get really complicated really fast depending on how much you want them to do. And these all have their own animations associated with them. They might change the size and shape of the collider for like when you're rolling, you might the collider might be smaller than if you're standing. So I am going to change the color on these. So these are, actually I'll change the color on the grounded states to be green. And the air states are blue. And this land state here is sort of a transitionary state in between being so like each of these lines represents a condition that has to be met. And so in order for you to enter the land state, you have to be already falling, and then the character controller has to detect that you have come in contact with the ground. And I think also hard landing. It's kind of a subset of landing, but if you're falling for a certain amount of time before you hit the ground, or have fallen a certain distance before you hit the ground, he takes damage. But then we also have roll canceling out of a fall. So I think it would still enter the land state, but it would immediately check to see if you're pressing forward on the stick, and if you are, then it will transition into a roll. And I think the same thing with hard landing, actually, but that it'll have kind of multiple exit conditions for like if you take damage or not. Alright, we're about to have ads. So then we could also add, if we wanted to, we could add swimming. So we'd have swimming idle, which you you would be able to enter that from falling, walking, running, maybe rolling. And then swimming idle would probably take you back to idle stand. No. So swimming idle can go to swimming if you're pressing a direction. Swimming returns to swimming idle if you stop pushing a direction, and then it would go back to your grounded states via the idle if you exit the water. Some other states we could have is like climbing. So So we have a ladder idle. A ladder up and a ladder down. And these might all just be one like ladder state. That is if we want to even bother with ladders. You might not. So we could also have like free climbing states for if you're climbing like vines or something, or a fence where you can climb up and down and left and right. We would probably reuse the same like ledge climb up state for when you reach the top of a wall. Same with the ladder actually. So this would just be like climb to top. And then any of these states as well could transition to the fall state if you press the drop button the interact button while you're hanging. And then I'm pretty sure if you press forward again while you're falling when you're near a ladder or a climbable wall, you re-enter the climbing state. It's a lot going on. And we haven't even touched swordplay. Some other states that they're not necessarily related to combat, but kind of are. We'd have knockback if you take a certain type or amount of damage. And then like a knocked down state, and then a get up. So the knockback would basically be if you took a big hit from an explosion or a very powerful enemy, get launched backwards. You'd maybe enter a ragdoll. I don't know how to do ragdolls in Godot. I'm sure it's possible. And then you would enter the knockdown state if you landed on the ground. You could potentially land in water as well, so you would enter your swimming idle. And then when you're knocked down, either a certain amount of time would have to pass, or you pressing a button or input or whatever to enter the get up state, and then that would move back into idle. Then we would also want to have a state that you can enter from any other state, which would be death. There's probably a couple different kinds of death states that you can enter, based on if you're, if you die from fall damage, if you die from combat, if you drown. And then would also be a whole bunch of like interaction states for interacting with objects in the environment, like opening doors, opening chests, stepping on switches, pushing and pulling blocks. But anyway, I'm just gonna start with these ones here. And I think I will do that next week, because I think I'm going to wrap up here. So I will find somebody to raid. So thanks for hanging out. I'm going to play some more Zelda Echoes of Wisdom to chill and relax. And we'll go ahead and we'll raid Renee. He's playing Tears of the Kingdom for some reason. I think he's trying to get all the Koroks. So yeah, have a good rest of your day. I'll probably be back on Saturday with more Wind Waker. Hopefully finishing out Wind Waker on Saturday. So, and then back next week with more game dev stuff. So yeah, I'll get this raid started. Have a good one. Bye.